Hello everybody, I'm Leslie. Welcome to the Knit California podcast. This is episode 2. I am so excited that we're back, that I'm back, that you're back. Maybe you're new, maybe you found me since my first episode. I do have to start this off by saying a huge thank you to everyone who watched my first episode, who left a comment, who subscribed. I can't believe we're over 200 subscribers already. Yeah, just like mind blown. But yeah, thank you everyone. I really appreciate it. I have tried to respond to every comment, so if you left a comment and I haven't responded, I will be sure to be going back to episode 1 and replying to all the comments. I love to hear what you guys have to say. A lot of it was just congratulations on the first episode, so thank you. We are back today to talk about this. If you saw it in my last video, this was a work in progress, and now it is done, and I'm so happy that it's done. I love it so much. This is the Cottagecore crop. The pattern is by Mezzo Makes, and I started this as part of a make-along that Kate from Mezzo Makes was running. It was hashtag Mezzo Makes Along, so it was very fun. And this is the size large. The yarn that I used for this is Sorella Yarn Sleeping Beauty's Castle in Stellina, which I don't think you can see on the video at all, but this Stellina yarn has like gold sparkly thread running all the way through it. So I can see it here, and like when I go outside it's like super fun and magical because I'm just all sparkling and I love it so much. This was a super fun knit. There were some hurdles. There was like one main hurdle, and that is because of the construction. You cast on at the top and it's knit back and forth because of this v-neck and because of the button detail here. It's knit back and forth, so you knit one round and you purl one round, which is like fine at the top, and then you get down to the bottom and it has this beautiful ruffle that just makes it so much fun. And to make a ruffle you have to add more stitches so it looks all curly and ruffly, and the additional stitches were just, it was a lot of purling. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who like absolutely hate purling, and I'm not one of those people. I feel like actually through this project I wouldn't say perfected, but I improved my purling, the speed of it especially. And the project that I'm working on now, I feel like every time I get to a purling section, I'm like, oh, this is fun. This is like a little bit different. So I'm really enjoying it. But especially down here on the ruffle, it took a long time. It took me I think I timed it once. Each purling row took me about 30 minutes. And so I was like, oh my gosh, when are we going to be done with this? But we finished. We made it. And I know a couple people who made this top and actually knit it in the round once they got to like here or so, and then they steeped it, so they like cut it up the middle, which is brave. I've never done that to any garment, but it's on my list of things to try. Anyways, so that was the only like one thing with this, but I mean, really, if you're gonna complain about purling and that's like the only major issue you had with the garment, it's not that bad, right? It's not that bad. So, a couple like details. You can see the raglan lines have this fun hole detail, which I absolutely love. The sleeves also have it on the ruffle. The hem, let me bring this up. The hem and the ruffle down at the bottom also have it, so I think that's really cute. Knowing how to do raglan increases is like one of the skills that you'll learn with this knit. One of the other big skills is picking up stitches along the edge here and knitting a button band. Another thing that I learned, I have made buttonholes before, but I did it differently this time. I followed what Kate suggested. She linked to an article in the pattern and I followed that. And it was different, and these came out way better. So this is one skill that you'll learn. And definitely sewing on buttons, if you don't know how to do that, this is another skill that you'll learn if you want to make this pattern. And I think overall, it's just like a really, really cute top. One thing I will note, I'll stand up again for this, is I did add about 2 inches in length to the body of this, based on what the pattern like originally called for. Excuse me. And I just wanted that little bit of extra length. I knew that I would be more comfortable with it a little bit longer. And I'm super happy I did. I think the length right now is absolutely perfect for my body. So that's definitely something to consider if you're gonna make this. Another thing that I added is, I don't know if you can tell, but along the neckline here, all the way around the back and over to this side, I added this I-cord edging. I just felt like it would provide this really nice finishing touch to the neckline, and I really think it does. So it took me a while, because this wasn't in the pattern, to figure out like what size needle do I need to use, how many stitches do I need to pick up, do I need to like go every single stitch, can I skip one, like what is happening here. I had to restart it probably like 3 or 4 times. I think it was 3, like 3 is the magic number of times, but I figured it out and I think it looks really great. So I'm really happy with this. And actually, the big thing that I want to talk about in this episode is blocking. And honestly, the best part of finishing this project was seeing the before and after, from before I blocked it to what it looks like now after it's blocked. And I filmed the whole process, so in a minute we'll go through and I'll show you that whole process from where it started, like what it looked like on my body before I blocked it. You'll be able to see it's like tight. You can't even see the button band at all. The sleeves are all rolled up. It's definitely not this long. And I think there's some other things that I point out in the video. I'll show you how I make my measurements, so I know exactly where I'm going to be pinning out the garment when I block it. I'll show you the whole process of actually washing it and then pinning it out once it's done being washed. So I have started sharing over on Instagram my blocking process. This is the 3rd full blocking experience that I have shared. And basically I started doing this because when I first started making sweaters, like, I didn't know how to block. I had seen people talk about blocking. I had watched some videos on Instagram. Sorry. I had watched some videos on YouTube. I had like frantically searched YouTube to try and find good blocking videos that showed the entire process. And one thing that I realized is that there weren't many people showing the entire process. They would show parts of it, but I could tell that there were parts that were missing because I was following those processes and I just felt like I wasn't doing it right. Like I felt like there was steps missing. And if you watched my last episode, you would have heard me talk about the Ayasta sweater that I made for my best friend Sarah, and how I thought I was going to totally ruin it by blocking it. Basically I soaked it and went to pin it out, and like the sleeves were really, really long, the body was really long, and I was like, oh no, what do I need to do? And I posted like a frantic message for help on Instagram stories, and some of my wonderful Instagram friends sent me the resources that they had used to learn how to block. And so after watching those, I feel like I have finally now like come up with my own process that I stick to and that I use now, I will say almost every time I block. I feel like every garment is different, and so the things that you're gonna do might be a little bit different depending on what type of yarn you use or what type of garment you're making. But I wanted to share that process with everyone because I know that there are a lot of people out there who maybe are experienced knitters but have never blocked anything before. I know there are new knitters out there who have never blocked anything before that want to learn how. I know there are people out there who have blocked before who would just like to see how someone else does it and maybe learn some different things or some new things. So I was like, it can't hurt by posting this stuff out there. And just the response that I receive every time I post blocking content is just huge. And I love it. People tag me sometimes in their blocking stories showing like the before and after, and they say that they, you know, have been watching some of my story highlights and they were inspired by watching me block so that now they block, and I just absolutely love that. I think it's amazing, and I'm so glad that even one, but like more people have seen like my process and have felt comfortable to do it themselves. So I love that. And yeah, that's like the whole reason why I wanted to share. So we're at that point. I will go ahead and insert all the clips of me blocking this, so enjoy. Okay, hello. So I finished all the knitting for my Cottagecore crop. I'm so happy about it, and I'm trying this on before blocking. I'm wearing a shirt underneath because it doesn't have buttons on yet, so it's not going to stay closed. You can barely even see the button band here, but I'm going to, after I block it, sew the buttons on, and it'll be able to close up right here. But I just wanted to show you what it looks like before blocking. You can see like the ruffles are like super rolled up. All of the edges are super rolled up. On the back still the ruffles are super like rolled up. So when I block this is going to block beautifully. I can already tell. The drape is going to become like even drapier. All the ruffles I'm going to pin out on the sleeves, on the hem. I'm going to pin the button band out so it lays flat. It's going to look like a completely different garment, better garment, I think, when it's done blocking. So, yeah. I'll show you what happens next. Okay, I'm sitting here in front of my yarn storage area. This is where I come to block all of my knits. And I want to share first the tools that I'm using to block my knits. You don't necessarily need all of these, but I have purchased them and I use them all the time and I enjoy using them. I think they are useful. So these are what I would recommend. So the first thing is blocking mats. I use these blocking mats pretty much every time I block anything. They came with these T-pins, blocking pins, that are also useful. Now, if you don't have blocking mats, you don't want to use blocking mats, you don't necessarily need them. You can pin your garment down onto a couple towels. You can pin it directly down onto the carpet, but I like to have the blocking mats. The next thing that you're going to need are these pins. These will help you to shape your garment and pin it into place so that it dries where you want it to dry. So I use these, and I also have another type that are these ones, Knitter's Pride knit blockers, and they look like this in the box, and there are two sizes. So you can see this is like the longer one. This is really good for like if you want something to be straight, like the edge of a garment. These are really useful, and you can see it takes up what, like 8 of those T-pins, so just more efficient in general. And then it also comes with like a smaller 4-pin version as well. So I find those super useful. And then the one tool that I would say you definitely need when you're blocking, if you don't get anything else, at least have a tape measure with you. So the tape measure is going to help you figure out the size of the finished garment that you are trying to achieve. You want to make sure you look at the pattern that you're using based off the size that you knit. What length and width should the garment be at the end? And that is where this comes in handy. You can measure everything out, make sure you've got it right, or at least close to accurate. So very important tape measure. Okay, let's continue. Okay, what I've started doing before I block any garment is actually laying out my blocking mats, laying out the garment, and putting in these pins before I even block it. So what I have done is I look at the measurements on the pattern where it says the final width should be, and you can look at this either from like the circumference, so how wide your garment should be at the chest or bust area. If it gives you the circumference, you divide that by 2, that's your width. Sometimes patterns will have schematics that tell you what the width should be based off the size you made. So I pin that out. You can see right now my top is smaller than what it should be. And when we block it, we might be able to stretch it to this length. I have also pinned out where I want the top to be and the total length down to the bottom. Sometimes this is also given to you in the schematics in the pattern. If you change the length at all, made it longer or shorter, like I did in this particular top, I added 2 inches to the length. So you want to make sure you take that into account. And then just the goals that I have for blocking this piece are to straighten out all of the rolled edges on the ruffle hem, on the ruffle sleeves, the neckline. I want to open up these raglan increases because they're beautiful. You just got to open them up. And then the button band, you can barely even see it. So we're going to make sure to flatten this all out. And overall, we want this to have a nice drape, a nice shape, and it's going to be beautiful. So let's go block. All right, so we filled the sink up with room temperature / cold-ish water, some wool wash, and we are plopping this in. You want to make sure you get it all nice and full of water. Make sure it sinks in, and you are going to let your sweater sit for about 15 to 20 minutes so that it fully submerges in water and all the little stitches get water in them. So I have 2 brands of wool wash that I have tried, and I would recommend them both. The first one is this brand called Soak. I have used the scent Celebration. I feel like the scent is not too strong. It's there, and you can definitely smell it when you take your clothes out of wash, but it's not overpowering. The second one that I have tried is Sorella Yarns Wool Wash, and same thing. I do find the scent to be a little bit stronger in this, but I don't have any issues with scents in my laundry, and her scents are so nice. So this is just the house blend, and I would recommend it. And she does have instructions on the back of how to use it. So there you go. All right, so it's time to take my top out of the water. And so what I'm going to do is start draining the water, pull the plug out, and gently kind of bundle this up, pull this out of the water, and you want to, as gently as possible, try to get as much water out of it as you can. Now you don't want to wring it like you would like a wet towel or something, because that's going to stretch the stitches in a way you don't want to do that. So what I kind of do, let me see, hold on. What I kind of do is like press it against the sink just to like get some of the water out, and then I like use my hands and just gently like squeeze it like this to get more of the water out. So I like to block in my laundry room sink. If you don't have a laundry room sink, use a regular sink, use a bathtub, use a bucket or like a plastic tub, a big bowl. I've seen people block in all sorts of things, so you definitely don't need a laundry room sink like this to do it. Now the next part I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stick this in my washing machine on the spin cycle only. I put this in there for about 8 to 9 minutes. I just let it spin. What that's going to do is get out the rest of this water, and it's going to help my top dry a lot faster. It's still gonna have water in it, so I'm still gonna be able to like manipulate the stitches and stretch it out the way I want to, but it's gonna take way less time to dry. So pro tip there. So come with me. My laundry room is a mess, but here you go. Chuck that in. You do not put any like soap or anything in there, okay? I turn it on. Okay, I turn it on, and I just want to come over here to rinse and spin, and I have to press on this to say spin only. Okay. I'm gonna do 10 minutes. And then it's just going to spin to get all the water out. So, yep, stay tuned. Here's the next part. Okay, so this is a fun angle. We are back to our blocking mats. We have washed this. I put it on the spin cycle for 10 minutes. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to lay this out and block it to the measurements of my pins. So here we go. Okay, so I've got like the general shape of what I want, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start pinning everything down. I really need to pin down the ruffles, I need to pin down the raglan, I need to pin down the button band here, so this is going to be a lot of pinning, a lot of pinning. Okay, my friend Rachel told me this was kind of difficult to block, and that took me 20 minutes to pin this all down. So yeah, I would have to agree. It's just to make sure all the ruffles are like fanned out and the edges aren't curling. That's like the biggest part. That's what took the longest. So let me show you. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. So you can see I have pinned out. Let's just start from the top. The top, the back. We've stretched out the raglans. We want to make sure the neckline is nice and symmetrical on both sides. You know, it's not really looking like it is right now, but that's okay. We've pinned out the sleeves to make sure the edges don't roll. This was super important to pin down the button band because this was like rolling in like crazy. You couldn't even see it. And then we've pinned down the ruffle edge here at the bottom. I gotta fix that one so that it's nice and flat. And again, so the edges don't curl. That's the biggest thing with this knit. So there we go. It's looking great. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to turn the fan on and I'm going to let it dry. And it might take all day, it might take all night, it might not be done till tomorrow, but that's okay. That's what we got to do to make sure it blocks nicely. Okay, hello. It is done blocking and I am absolutely in love with it. So let me point out some of the things that have changed since I blocked it. So first of all, you'll notice the sleeves and the ruffle at the bottom are fully like relaxed now and rolled out. Yeah, there's a little bit of pokiness from how I pinned it, but I can fix that just by steam blocking it. The button band is like completely visible now and I have sewed on the buttons. It's not all curled up like it was before, which is great. The raglan increases are fully open so you can see the beautiful detailing here. And just the overall like fit of it. I don't know if you remember, but like before it was like a little bit tight. It seemed like I was pulling it closed, but just the drape and the way it's like grown lengthwise, I guess this is widthwise and lengthwise, is exactly what I wanted. I figured, I had an idea that this would block beautifully and just like drape really nicely, and it definitely has. So I'm really happy. I added on 2 extra inches of length compared to what the pattern says, and so I'm really happy with the length of it. I think it's perfect. So here it is. And it's so fun, look. It's so cute. This is just gonna be so perfect for summertime. Summertime is here in Southern California where I live. It is hot. It was like 90 degrees out today. I wore this out to lunch and a little shopping trip, and it was absolutely perfect. So I can picture it, you know, family dinners, pool days, any shopping, lunch, brunch, absolutely perfect. So yay. All right, so I'm back. I hope you enjoyed that. If that was all you came here to watch, thanks. But now I'm going to be answering, I have a list of questions and answers. So I asked over on my Instagram stories if anybody had any questions about blocking. People started asking me questions that I did not know the answers to. I just want to throw that out there. I'm not an expert. I have found a process that works for me. And that's pretty much what I do almost every single time. So I have Googled, I have done some research, and I feel like I do understand things a little bit better now, the things that I didn't know before. So anyways, let's get into it. The first question, and this is the question that I get every single time I post blocking content. The #1 most asked question: do you have to block each time you wash a knit item? And the short answer to that is usually no. You do not need to block every single time you wash an item. So I think it's important for us to like fully understand like the definition of what blocking is and like what it actually does. We talk about blocking all the time, but I read this today and I was like, oh, this actually like explains some things. So blocking is the act of adjusting and setting the final state of your knit. So once you once you wash it the first time and you pin it out, you don't need to do that again. And there are multiple ways to block. So you can wet block it. that's what I did to this. I fully submerged it in water so it gets fully wet. You can also spritz block or spray block, where you pin the garment down and then spray water on it and let it dry. Or you can steam block. And in steam blocking, again, you pin it out first and then steam it with like an iron or a steamer. I have a steamer, so that's what I use. Okay, so, but once you set the piece the first time, some fibers, for example wool, will remember where you set them. So it's not gonna like go back to what it looked like pre-blocking. So like, for example, this garment, right? Remember what it looked like before I blocked? It's never gonna go back to that state. If I washed this now, I wouldn't really need to pin it out anywhere because it already knows that this is the shape it needs to be in. What I would probably just do is like lay it out flat on my blocking mats or on a towel even. The second time around you probably want to use a towel. I think that would like soak up more water. Soak up more water. And just let it dry. Point a fan at it, point 2 fans at it, and let it dry. Okay, kind of the second part to this question that I got asked is, when do you know if you need to block it again? And I have a couple kind of non-answer answers. The first one is, I think you'll just know. Like, I think if after you wash it and you pull it out and you see that, and you like lay it down and you see that maybe it's not looking how it's supposed to look, you'll know you need to like pin it out again. Another reason why you may want to block again is if you have a like lace piece, whether it's like the top or like the whole piece is lace, you may want to pin it out again just to make sure the lace stays open. And I think, again, you'll kind of just know. You'll pull it out of wet blocking and you'll see, okay, do I need to block it again? Do I need to pin it out again? Additionally, I have my Ayasa sweater that I talked about before is made from the We Are Knitters Mary wool, and that is an extremely stretchy yarn. Now, I have not washed this sweater a second time, but my thought for this sweater is that when I do wash this again, I might need to block it. And this is actually, like, the blocking process for that sweater was very different from like the blocking process for this sweater, because I was trying to actually like shorten it. I wasn't trying to lengthen it, I was trying to shorten it because the yarn stretched so much. And in that case, I didn't actually pin it down. I pinned kind of like around the sides here to know that like I needed to get the sweater within these pins, and the same for the sleeves for the length of it. And so I'm pretty sure when I wash that again, I will need to like again shape it to be inside those pins. So that's what I'll say about that. The short answer, usually no, you do not need to pin it out again. The long answer, you just had. Okay. Sorry, my nose is like really itchy. I don't know why. Ugh. Super flattering to do on camera. Okay. How to block gauge swatches. Okay. The simple answer to this is you block it the same way you would block a regular sweater. First of all, you should be making a gauge swatch. Especially, okay, this is like a really bad example. I did not make a gauge swatch for this top. I know why, because I really just wanted to start and cast on. I'm trying to remember now if I increased my needle size. I might have. I don't know. I've been having this whole issue where my gauge is wrong for a lot of sweaters. I knit too tight is the problem, and so my sweaters have been coming out too small. I think I ended up not doing a gauge swatch for this, and I think I ended up using the recommended needle size because this was like built into the pattern, had a lot of positive ease, which I love. If it has positive ease, I know I'm gonna be good. And I enjoy wearing my garments looser like this. Positive ease just means like if you measure around your chest or your bust, if it's 0 positive ease, that means the measurement of the garment is going to be the same measurement as your bust. If 1 inch of positive ease means it will be 1 inch larger, and so on and so forth. So there's a high number of inches of positive ease, it's going to be loose like this. You can see it's pretty loose, which I enjoy. Anyway, so you should be making gauge swatches, and then you should be blocking those gauge swatches. If you don't block a gauge swatch and you're going to block the final garment, what was the point of making the gauge swatch? There's no point. Okay. I recommend, if you're gonna wet block the sweater, wet block your gauge swatch. So stick it in the water, wring it out gently. It's small, right? It's only gonna be like this big. Gently get the water out. This part, I have seen, and I have recommended in the past, not to pin out your gauge swatch, like not to stretch it on a blocking board, and to just let it dry without pinning. The reason why you may want to do this is because that will give you almost like the true measurement of your knitting, whereas if you like stretch it a lot, your gauge swatch, and then you take a measurement, it just could be tricky. Like you may not necessarily stretch your final object that much, and because there's more fabric, things could get wonky. So I think it's something you have to be careful with. The most recent gauge swatch I did, I don't have it over here, but it was for my sweater number 15 with all the cables. Now I did end up pinning the swatch because I wanted the cables to dry straight. I wanted the edges of the swatch to be straight, but I didn't stretch it a lot. And actually by doing that, I realized my gauge was off and I went up a whole needle size, actually half a needle size for this project, which I think I'm really happy I did, but anyways, I'm getting off track. So that's kind of the recommendation. I think the biggest thing to take away is you don't want to like stretch your gauge swatches too much when you're blocking them, because you want to really just like take the measurements of what that gauge swatch actually is. All right. Okay. Can you block all fibers? The short answer to this is yes. Okay? The long answer to this is here. All right? So we know that there are kind of 3 different main categories of fibers. We've got animal fibers. This is like wool, silk, mohair, cashmere, alpaca, all those types of fibers. We have plant-based fibers like cotton, linen, bamboo. And we have synthetic fibers like acrylic, rayon, polyester, modal, viscose, anything with like an acrylic blend. And all 3 of these are like, they're definitely different fibers to work with. And so they all block a little bit differently. And really, I mean, practice using them and seeing how they react is going to be your best bet for learning how to block all these fibers. This was one of the questions I didn't know about, and so I did some research. And like the main answer is like, yeah, you can block all of these fibers. You may want to try different methods of blocking, whether you do a wet block or you do a steam block, but you can block them all, okay? So for animal fibers, wet blocking is probably recommended. This is wool, 100%, actually it's not 100%, but it's merino wool with the like Stellina fiber running throughout. And I wet blocked this and it turned out great. Like you saw what happened when I blocked this, right? Oh, okay. One of the big tips was read the ball band on your yarn, especially if it's like a commercial yarn. There may be washing tips on the ball band that say like, don't apply heat to this, hand wash, don't put it in the washing machine or dryer, like those types of things. So you like default to following those instructions, okay? But yeah, so animal fibers, yes, wet block or steam block. Plant-based yarns. So cotton. Cotton is interesting. I feel like I have seen different instructions for how to block cotton yarn. The biggest thing is that cotton has very little memory. So if you like stretch it out when you're blocking it, it's not really going to remember that stretch once it's dry and you take it off the blocking pins. The one thing that you really want to do when you're blocking cotton yarn is make sure like your stitch tension is even like all the way through your project. And so you can like even that out when you're blocking. Linen, yes, you can wet block linen. Silk, so silk is delicate, right? We all know that, especially if it's 100% silk. The internet recommends steam blocking silk, but you want to be careful to not like get it super, super hot. And silk will behave differently in a blend. Like if it's blended with something else, it'll always behave differently. Okay, bamboo, you can wet block. Some brands can be steamed block. You just want to be careful not to get it too hot, and you again check the label. And synthetic fibers, so acrylic, polyester, rayon, and acrylic blends, you can steam block or wet block. The biggest thing with acrylic is you want to make sure not to heat it up too much. If you apply too much heat, you can actually melt the acrylic, and then acrylic yarn loses all of its memory. It will not remember anything, it'll just be limp. Which like maybe that's fine for you, but probably not. I have very successfully steam blocked acrylic squares for 2 blankets. I should have brought those over here to show you, but like 2 crochet like square blankets. You make the squares and then you sew them all together. Yes, successfully steam blocked all of those. So yeah, there you go. Okay, can you use the same detergent or wool wash to wash cotton that you use for wool? Short answer, yes. So I brought these over. These are the 2 wool washes that I have here at my house that I use. So this one is the Soak brand. This one is Sorella yarn brand. If you haven't like noticed, I am a huge fan of Sorella yarn. This is Sorella yarn. But anyways, yes, you can. So wool wash is just a really, really mild detergent soap. And so you can use this for almost anything that you're hand washing, or like Ashley, the owner of Sorella Yarn, talked about how she used her wool wash in her washing machine as like regular laundry detergent, and it worked well. And I'm sure all of her clothes smelled great. This stuff smells delicious. This is just the house blend, which is mahogany and shea, but like every time they do a collection, they have different scents of wool wash, and hand cream, and I love it. They all smell so good. So yes, you can. Okay. How often do you wash your knits? Short answer, me. Probably not often enough. I have never washed a sweater for a second time yet. I just don't. Okay, I have seen the advice on Instagram, and I wish I remember who. I saved the post actually, so I might link it below. Someone recommended, if you are putting like winter sweaters away, now that we are transitioning to spring, summer, early fall, if you are putting winter sweaters away for the season, what you should do is you should wash them all now, dry them all, and like fold them up and make sure that they are nice and clean and like ready to go for when winter comes again, fall or winter comes again. I actually thought this was a really good idea. I haven't done this yet, but I have like a bunch of sweaters that I made, and living in Southern California, I will not be wearing them for the next, what is this, May? Probably till November, so like 6 months, a good 6 months, they will not see the light of day. So that's definitely something that I should probably do. Now, how often you need to do it, I don't know. I think it really depends on how often you wear it. If you start to feel like it's getting, like it's gross, or it's just getting to be that time. I hear a lot that wool is like self-cleaning, so it's not something that you need to wash like over and over again. I think too, like a lot of people will wear like little t-shirts underneath their big sweaters. So you know that shirt absorbs all of your body stuff instead of the sweater, so like that's one thing to do as well. And then yeah, so like maybe at the start / end of every season, maybe a little bit more if you feel like it. That's my advice. If you should listen to that advice, I don't know. Okay. Oh no, this one first. Okay, should I be doing anything different for superwash versus non-superwash wool? Short answer, no, I don't think so. I have pretty much exclusively worked with superwash wool. I just haven't really gotten into non-superwash wool yet. There are some indie dyers who do non-superwash that I really want to try their yarn, but I just haven't done that yet. And from what I understand, blocking it is like the exact same process. You probably want to wet block, and again, yeah, go through the same process. How does the washing machine spin cycle not felt items? I thought any friction would felt it. This is a good question. I don't really know. So, heat and friction definitely felt items. My thought is that when I put, like for example, I put this in the washing machine on spin cycle only to get all the water out. When I put it in the washing machine, I think it just like sticks to the side and then like goes around and around and around. I don't think it's really like moving back and forth and being agitated a lot. I think it's just spinning around, and then the water is being pulled out of it by centripetal force. I'm pretty sure there's not much friction or agitation going on in there. I could be wrong, but I haven't had any issues, so. Okay. And then this is the last question I have. Do you weave in ends before or after blocking? And I thought this was a great question. I personally weave my ends in before. I like to get all of the knitting, all of the yarn manipulation, all of the weaving in ends done before I block it, so that once it's done blocking, it's done and I can wear it and not have to worry about anything else. Now, I have heard people recommend the opposite, that is weaving in your ends after it's done blocking. But this is my thought on it. So, and this may just be me and the way that I like change skeins of yarn. So like when I like go from one skein to another skein, I just drop the yarn and I start knitting with a new yarn. And that leaves a little hole. And to close up that hole, you weave in your ends like in the opposite direction and it closes it up. If I didn't do that until after I blocked, I could be like blocking a hole into my garment. And so that's something that I really want to be careful of. So that's another reason why I would recommend doing it before. The other thing I have seen recommended is if you do weave in your ends before, you should leave a long enough tail just to make sure, you know, when you are manipulating the stitches as you're pinning it out, if you're like manipulating where that those ends, new yarn joined, one yarn ended, just to make sure like if there are any changes that there's enough yarn and it doesn't start to like unravel. And I do think that's a good idea. I don't do it, but I do think it's a good idea. So you can do what you will with that. Okay, so that is the end. Actually, let me just double check really fast. Let me do a quick Instagram refresh and see if there were any other questions that came in. Oh. Okay. No. Someone just someone said they had a similar question and they wanted me to elaborate on the long answer, which yes, I have done. So you're welcome. All right, so that's it. Those are all the blocking questions I have. If you have any additional questions, please leave them down below. I'll do my best to answer them as well. And I will leave a couple links to blocking articles that I have read that I found super helpful, and a couple of blocking videos that I have also found super helpful. So if you're here just for blocking content, that's it. I'm going to talk about one of my whips that I've made a lot of progress on and want to share, and a couple acquisitions that I have gotten since the last episode. So here we go. I'm so excited to show you guys this. So after finishing my cottagecore crop, I had been wanting, I showed this last time, to start my knit collage, Corinne Cardi. I didn't realize that I needed a 10mm crochet hook, and I only had like an 8 and a 15, so I had to order this and it just arrived. So now I can start. Just to remind you of the beautiful colors that this is going to be. Okay, so I think I'm going to start that maybe this weekend. I think I'll have some time. But anyway, so I couldn't start on that, and I continued to work on my sweater number 15 project because it was already here and I had the time, and I have made some progress. Look at that. Okay, the front and the back are not joined yet, but last time I only had like not even all of this, maybe like half of this back panel. So I love this detail right here on the shoulder. Look at this. So this like one cable that looks like it's going the opposite way of all the other cables, isn't that so cool? But I've joined the front, and obviously this is like where my head will go. And yeah, I've got, let's see, 1, 2. So I've got a few more cable repeats here, and then I'll be joining the front and the back, and then I'll have to figure out what part I want to do next. If I want to start on a sleeve, I'll probably do this, what's that called? The neckband ribbing, because I like when this is done and like from the top as you're working the way down, it just like looks finished. I feel like it just looks really impressive, so I like to finish some of those things first. But just like, this is so soft, and I just like couldn't stop working on it. And I think the other piece is that these needles, I'm using a 5mm needle, which is just like so much larger than the needle I used for my Cottagecore crop, and so I feel like it's just going so fast. So I love that. And I'll show you, I showed you this last time, but I've been using my row counter from Twice Sheared Sheep. Absolutely loving it. This is the greatest knitting tool I have ever used. And I have decided that I want one for every single project that I have. And I made that decision, and then the next day I opened my Mother's Day box from Twice Sheared Sheep. And I was very, very graciously gifted this box by Dawn. Again, if you remember from my first episode, so Dawn from Twice Sheared Sheep reached out to me and asked if I would like share her products on Instagram, and I have an affiliate link, so if you click on the link, it's down in the description, and you buy anything from her website, I do get a small commission from those purchases, and I am using that money to help buy more yarn and fund everything that is Knit California. And yeah, I mean, I got my first payment from that a week or so ago, and it was the first money that I have officially made from all of this, from Knit California, and it was just so cool. I was just so excited. And it's just something that I want to be doing more of. Just in general, I've like, you know, you see people on Instagram and social media like turning this into their full-time job and like making money by partnering with brands and other companies, and I think it's really cool. And I don't know if this is something that I would ever like take full-time. I have like a really good 9-to-5 job right now. I like what I'm doing, but it's kind of like sort of an option. It's definitely something to do on the side. You know, everyone says like you should have a side hustle, and I don't know if this is like truly considered a side hustle. I like truly love knitting. I like making Instagram videos. I now enjoy making YouTube videos. I think this is super fun. And it's really just me sharing what I'm knitting and like how I'm doing it. So anyways, that was a long introduction to, yes, I have an affiliate link for Twice Sheared Sheep. And I love all her products. And so Dawn sent me this Mother's Day box, and I believe if you're quick, I think there are a couple more of these left in the shop, even though it is now past Mother's Day. So even if you're not a mother, even if you just want this really cool box for yourself, you can get one. Okay, let me share now what's in it. I opened this and I was like, I can't believe everything that's in here. Ta-da! Isn't this cool? This is cool. Okay, so I'll show you. Okay, so the first couple of things I want to share are, I got there's two, all the boxes are the same, okay? So when I say I got, all the boxes are the same. So there's two progress keepers in here, a little bunny and a little bear with a little baby, super cute. And so those are like lobster clasp. You can use these for knit or crochet, anything you want to mark your progress, as a stitch marker, whatever. Okay, these are snag-free stitch markers. Sorry, I want to make sure they're all facing the right way so you can see how beautiful they are. Okay. Oh, dang, they turned the wrong way. I mean, the back is pretty too. Okay, there we go. They're beautiful little flowers. I think they're plumeria flowers, but they're gorgeous. And I do want to share, so these, And, okay, let me just share this too. I got another row counter. So this is what I was talking about before. Now I have 2. So I can have 2 projects at one time that have a row counter. I probably need more, okay? I'm gonna be serious. I want one for every single project that I do. These are amazing. If you have more questions about why I love this so much, please ask them below and I will answer them, because if you've never used one of these, seriously, it's a game changer. Okay, but the thing I want to show you, so this has a little clasp on it, and it opens and closes. It doesn't open like a lot, but enough that you can hook this on to any stitch. So you can use this for knitting. Let me see, let me make sure. Okay, yeah. What I was saying, you can use this for knitting or crocheting, okay? And I didn't realize that you could use these for crocheting, but this is freaking genius. Okay, so for knitting, right, you just slide it onto your needle, and then the interesting like shape of this, it's not completely circular, and there's a little like piece down here that makes it super easy to like slide your needle tip into, put it there, and like hook it back onto the other needle. And so if you're wondering why I'm obsessed with these over any other stitch markers, because I'm sure we all have a bajillion stitch markers, that's why. So and then yeah, you can hook this on to like crochet, so put it on your first row, and you can use it to like count your rows or whatever. Not count your rows, sorry. Use this to count your rows. This comes with one of those hooks as well right here. And again, you can take it, you can move it like from link to link so that you know where you are in crochet as well. And then if you're knitting, you can see it starts with number 1, and then as you go to like the next row, you just move your needle down to whatever row you're on. Anyways, I love this. I love these so much. And this is also a flower. It's a little blue. I think I'm actually going to switch my stitch markers so that this blue is on my sweater number 15, which is blue. They match, and I love it. Okay. Got a tape measure with a little alpaca. Perfect. Just, whoo. Who doesn't need another tape measure, right? I'm always losing mine. This is a notions tin. Ooh. So I'm gonna transfer some of my notions into this. I haven't yet. Okay, and then these are the fun, well, this is all fun, but these are like extras. Look how cute this is. It says Yarn Wizard, and it's a little sheep with a magic hat, and he's got a little wand, and he's got all these balls of yarn. I love this so much. I think it's so cute. So, Yarn Wizard mug. This is gorgeous, okay? I love flower prints, but I think there are definitely some out there that are not for me. I absolutely love this. Like, I would pick this up in a store and buy this for myself. So, and this thing is big. It said you can fit 3 balls of yarn in here. That's large. And then it's got an extra pocket on the back. Oh, this is like a, it was it was folded. I was about to be like, this is the tiniest pocket I've ever seen, but it was just folded. Okay, I pushed it down. No, so this is a real size pocket. And this, but I love it. Zippered. It's got a little hangy thing, and you can take this off too if you don't want it. Clips on and off. But I think this is super cute. And then, last but not least, oh no, getting confetti paper everywhere. I don't want that. The dogs would just eat all of that. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Look how cute this skein is. Okay. This is from the Sheepy Shire. It says hand-dyed happiness. I love that. It's so cute. And it is colorway surprise party. And it's staple sock fingering weight, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And let me tell you, it has washing instructions on the label. It says, for best results, hand wash cool with wool wash and lay flat to dry. There you go. Wet block this. So, excuse me. So I have to figure out what I'm gonna make with this. I don't know. I love it. I think it's great. I might get like another fingering weight yarn at some point to like hold double with this and maybe make a hat or something, or maybe I'll use it to make socks. I feel like I have a lot of yarn. I do. I have like a whole half a cubby full of yarn stashed away to make socks. And I've only made two pairs of socks. At the beginning of this year, one of my New Year's knitting goals was to do the year of socks, which is when you knit one pair of socks each month. And I crushed it in January. That I didn't make any other socks. I started to make February, and then I got picked for the souffle test knit, and that just took over everything, as it should have. And the socks that I was making, I was using a needle size that was too big. I picked the largest size in the pattern, so they were just coming out way too big. So I need to, if I'm actually going to make socks, get the correct needle size. So that's just something to know. But anyways, isn't this gorgeous? Okay. So yeah, recap. If you're interested in buying, so these items specifically, like if you wanted these flowers or that bag, sorry I dropped this, or any of these items specifically, these are, you can only buy these through the Mother's Day box. I believe there's a couple left. I know she posted earlier this week and said there were 9 left, but that was a few days ago. So if you really want this, click the link down below. It is my affiliate link, but you can go get one of these for yourselves. For yourself. But if there's anything else that you want, also click on the link. I'm just gonna do yourself a favor and get like 3 of these, okay? Or just start with 1. There are instructions on how to use them on the back too. But alright, on to, I have 2 more things to show you. I got 2 more acquisitions. Both of them are yarn. So I ordered, did I share this already? I might have. I don't remember. We're gonna share again if I have. Okay, so when I decided to make sweater number 15, I had originally bought that yarn for a different project, and I needed to order a couple more skeins. And so because I was already ordering from Knitting for Olive, I decided to add on. I got 6 balls of, this is Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the color Putty. This is 100% Bourette silk. So when I block this, I'll definitely let you know. But my thought is to make the Farfa top by the Knit Pearl Girl, and it uses 2 of these held together. It's short sleeve. Actually the sleeves are like the main focus of this. So there are 2 options for sleeve. You can have like, they kind of like flare out, so there's like short and then there's a longer version. I think I want to make the longer version. I think it's super cute. So I don't know when I'm going to be able to cast this on. I definitely want to do the Corinne Cardi first as part of the Knit Collage Make Along. And then this will definitely be on my list because this is a summer top that I want to wear this summer. So that's that. And then the other yarn that I got, I actually purchased from my friend Rachel. Rachel is knitting on Instagram, and she was doing a de-stash of her own yarn in her stories, and I saw this and I was like, it's purple and I love it. And I think especially this shot right now makes me seem like purple is my favorite color. And I really like purple. I would have to say pink is my favorite color, but I'm really into like making purple garments. I just think they look good with my hair color. But anyways, sorry, long story short. These are Sorella yarn. This is fingering weight. These were from an Oopsie sale that she did, and you can kind of see, so like these were not originally sold in the first round because there's just some like dye inconsistencies on both of them. And so what Ashley and her team does is they pull out any yarn that looks like this and they hold it, and then twice a year usually they do an Oopsie sale with all of these yarn and all these skeins, and you can get yarn at a discounted price. And I'm pretty sure this is North Shore Oopsies, which was a purple colorway from the Sun Soaked collection from last summer, which I actually have a skein of in DK in my stash, but I just love this color. So I think I'm gonna use these held together to make an Oslo beanie later in the year, but yay. Alrighty, and that's it. I'm trying to think if I have any more knitting related chat or anything to tell you. I don't think so. I think this is a long enough episode. I will say I've been like trying to find more knitting podcasts to watch myself. Just trying to like support other knitters that make podcasts on YouTube. And one that I have found, I guess I didn't realize that she had a podcast, but she's had it for like a year now, is Aro from Aro Knits and Pearls, and I absolutely love her aesthetic, like in her vibe and the yarn that she uses. It's just so beautiful. And I really resonate with her. Like, there are a lot of podcasters that I watch, and to be honest, they show a lot of yarn that they buy and that they use, and it's not my style. Like, I wouldn't go and buy that yarn for myself. And I think that's okay. I still love watching them. And just because I don't like something doesn't mean that someone else can't like it, right? So, but when I found her, I was just like, I want all of the yarn that you have. You know, when you find someone and just like your styles kind of match. So anyways, I started back from episode 1. I think I'm on like episode 7 or 8 now of hers. And I'm gonna go all the way through and just watch all of them, because I'm just really enjoying her podcast so much. So if there are other podcasts that you guys really enjoy, please leave their names down below also. I would love to check them out. And yeah, I think we will end it here. So again, another huge thank you for sticking through this episode. I know I can already tell this clip is 46 minutes. This is a long one. So again, thank you. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here in a couple weeks. Bye!